Protecting the American consumer from predatory and abusive companies, that's the job of the Federal Trade Commission, the FTC, and it's a tough one in an age when the companies that pose the greatest risk to us are the same companies that benefit us most. I asked FTC Chairman Jon Leibowitz about the growing dominance of four companies his agency is paying close attention to: Apple, Google, Intel, and Facebook.
In the United States, you're allowed to develop monopoly status so long as you do it the right way and not the wrong way. You're allowed to maintain a monopoly if you're not engaging in what antitrust lawyers would call exclusionary practices, or essentially bad behavior. We monitor industries and we think about dominant platforms, but simply being dominant doesn't mean it's illegal.
Well, how do you keep up with a company like Facebook? Facebook's growing faster than Google. Facebook has, what, 600 million users?
We don't have to sort of keep up with them. We just have to sort of monitor companies to see whether they engage in any unfair methods of competition, unfair deceptive acts or practices. It turns out that sometimes competitors will come in and say, "Psst, we think you should take a look at so-and-so." We're a tiny agency by Washington standards. We can't keep up with every single thing every major company is doing, but we try to do our best, and we try to leverage our limited resources to sort of effectively protect consumers and competition.
But on the subject of Facebook,
yes,
as an example, Facebook has access to information by virtue of the way it operates and the information that people provide it that is unique. Effectively, there is, outside of a couple of isolated examples elsewhere in the world, there really is no other company like Facebook. So Facebook is in a position to do all kinds of things that might concern the FTC.
Right.
How do you know whether they're doing it or not?
Well, when we're concerned about a company's practices, we can begin an investigation. We can begin a discussion with a company. I wish I could tell you it was subject to some sort of mathematical formula, Euclidean geometry, here's the way we do it. It's much more, we're an agency that's been thinking about privacy issues and thinking about competition issues. Competition issues going back to 1914 when the agency was formed, and privacy issues going back at least 30 years under Democrat and Republican-controlled commissions, and great staff. We try to do our job.
Are you surprised at times by the resources companies are willing to throw at maintaining, legal and otherwise, lobbyists, etc., at preserving anti-competitive practices?
Now, I spent a few years as a lobbyist in Washington, and before that I worked on the Hill for a dozen years, so very little surprises me anymore. Nevertheless...
Should it surprise us?
Yes. Nevertheless, sometimes companies and industries can bring to bear huge numbers, armadas of lobbyists. One of our biggest initiatives, and again, it's bipartisan, it's unanimous in the Commission, is stopping what we call pay-for-delay pharmaceutical settlements, where brands pay off the generics literally to stay out of the marketplace. Consumers are left holding the bag or footing the bill.
It's like saying don't open up a gas station across the street. There's
a patent involved, so it's a little more complicated, but it's like saying here's a couple $100,000, that gas station you wanted to open it up in 2017. And, courts are split on this, and we're trying to stop the practice. And one of the ways in which we have tried to educate members of Congress, and there's legislation introduced, and it got very far last year, and it's bipartisan, supported by the president, is to try to stop these deals by legislation. There are more than 1,330 registered pharmaceutical lobbyists in Washington alone, and we sometimes felt at the Commission, where we have a terrific congressional staff, but it has 6 people in it, that no matter how just our arguments were, it was sometimes hard to make them effectively. I do think at the end of the day, either the Supreme Court or Congress is going to stop this pernicious practice.